And have a good night.
Hey, I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
Take care, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. And as I said, that is not something that, you're going to talk about a whole lot, but certainly there are contingency plans of that sort. Let's go to Reston right now. Doug, you're next.
Hi, Ken.
Hi, Doug.
Question for you. How do you think that the acquisition of Steve Berline to Phoenix Cardinals will affect the team's performance this year?
Well, again, I think it's going to be a battle for the starting quarterback job down there between Chandler and Berline. Berline, one of the questions about Berline, was he tough enough mentally to do it on a consistent basis over the course of time? And the jury obviously is still out a bit on that. I like Berline. Dennis Green said that Berline's the one guy he wanted. When he couldn't get him, he then said McMahon's the one guy he wanted. And I suppose if the fans are gullible enough to buy it up there, why not, right?
Right.
But I like Chandler, I like Berline, but both those guys are going to love two things that have happened. One, Garrison Hurst, and if his knees are healthy, he is an extraordinary talent.
Right.
And number two, they have improved the offensive line with the acquisition of Dye and Coleman, two obviously very, very high draft choices. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Their first round draft, one of their first round draft choices, they had two, as you well know. Ernest Dye out of South Carolina. All he has to do is not eat himself out of the game.
Right.
All he has to do is keep his weight under 310. And Ben Coleman on the second round of Wake Forest. We thought he could play tackle and guard. Lean towards him at guard. They said they're going to look at both. But Joe Bugle's the head coach, and he absolutely insists on training everybody to play every position. I mean, that's just what he believes in. It's what Joe Gibbs believed in, and I think it's a very positive way to do business. I really and truly do. Now, if you've got a much improved ground attack because your line is better and because you have someone like a Garrison Hurst, and by the way, they also drafted a kid by the name of Ronnie Moore out of Pittsburgh State from Kansas, and he's a player. In fact, he could have gone around higher. If you have a ground attack, let me tell you, play action sure does work, but you got to be able to run to have play action work. Otherwise, you fake a handoff, the defensive linemen and linebackers have a good laugh and go for your quarterback's throat. Okay? So if they can generate a much better ground attack, and with a Garrison Hurst, assuming the knees hold up, and I remember when he was coming out of Oklahoma State. Have you been a sports call listener for a while?
Yes, over probably since you've been on the air in 1977.
All right, well then you heard me talking the year that Thurman Thomas came out of Oklahoma State and said, well, his knees will never hold up.
Right.
And he wears braces on both knees, has since his early years at Oklahoma State. And I kind of leaned back in the chair and said to someone, well, he played every game for 4 years there.
Right.
I can understand why he might be concerned because he has knee problems, but hasn't missed a game yet. Let's talk about his injury problem when he misses a game.
Okay.
And he hasn't missed many, has he?
No.
Garrison may well be the first. And, of course, as I said, the addition of these two fine young offensive linemen, assuming especially Dye doesn't eat himself out of the game,
Right.
and assuming they get him signed sometime within a reasonable period of time, and not too bad at all. They brought in a couple of other kids who I think are going to help them, through the course of time. I mentioned Ronnie Moore. I want to talk to you about that kid that they drafted, the safety out of Florida, Will White.
Right.
I think he can make that club as a nickel safety. And Chad Brown. He's a cross between a defensive end and a linebacker. He's out of Mississippi. If he wants it, he could be something very special as a pass rusher. So they had a very good draft, the key, of course, being Garrison Hurst's knees. And in the free agent market, they lost Tim McDonough.
Right.
Big deal. All they did was bring in Chuck Cecil.
Right.
Now, Cecil is not Tim McDonald, but he's not a whole lot farther behind him. Also, they brought in Booty. They brought in, needless to say, they brought in a fellow from the Washington Redskins by the name of Gary Clark. You mentioned Berline. They brought in Kane Kalai, who was their snapper and is one of the best long snappers in football, and that was a problem for them last year.
Right.
The biggest thing is they re-signed. They also brought in John Booty, by the way, who can play both corner and safety. But they kept Ricky Prohl, great young wide receiver. I call him a Pat Tilley with speed.
Right.
And when you've got Prohl and Jones and Clark and Randall Hill, you've got some guys who can flat play. And they also managed to hold on to Tyrone Stowe. He's their, middle linebacker and a great special teamer. This is a club that's got a lot of talented linebacker. I don't know how the defensive ends are going to play, but assuming the two monsters inside, including Stowe, who was Swan, who was a terrible first-round draft choice, it's going to be very interesting. Good secondary. In fact, I think Anais Williams is on the verge of being a real star at corner. And what can you say about Massey? He didn't play bad last year either.
Oh, yeah.
So they got two fine young corners. They brought in Booty. They re-signed Jay Taylor, who was their nickel corner last year. That could be a very good football team.
Yeah.
That could be a very good football team.
I agree. Well, Ken, it was good talking with you.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Sure.
And I'll tell you something, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy if Joe Bugle, because boy, he could use some help because Bidwell, his owner, is a negative rather than a positive.
I hope they hang on to Joe Bugle. He's doing a great job with them.
Yep.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Hey, I thank you so much for the call. Bye now.